want to talk to you briefly about social media. On social media. How does it get better than this? Okay. So, social media, we need to speak about it. We are still a long way as a collective humanity to kind of sort of mature into how we evolve platforms on social media, how we evolve different kinds of interaction, because it's a medium of interaction, social media, and all the platforms on it put together. Okay. So let's see, just 5 quick points over here. Bear with me. Number one and foremost on your list that you should remember is internet platforms are biased. They have their own inbuilt bias. Remember, internet is just a network. It's just a passive network of connectivity. But there are platforms, apps, applications sitting on this platform. You can take Facebook, you can take Twitter, you can take any number of social platforms that are out there. And they have an inbuilt bias. Why? Well, internet platforms of any kind, social media platforms, are made by geeks, software engineers who are sitting somewhere in a cubicle in a dark hole, programming the stuff, writing codes and lines of code. And somewhere along the line, they built a bias into it. Now, if you want to read more on this, I really recommend you read the book, which I am showing you over there on the screen, The Filter Bubble, What the Internet is Hiding from You by Ellie Pariser. It's a wonderful book about how this bias is built into the software itself, into the very platform. Nature of the platform itself becomes biased. Meaning what? Well, if you're searching for, let's say, recipes for your cooking, and you're always interested in cooking because cooking is your hobby, and so you search for certain kinds of dishes. Let's say you search for Indian dishes, different kinds of recipes on the internet. Next time you go and Google search, or next time you search your Facebook page, and then all it keeps giving you is about recipes and more recipes and different kind of recipes. Why? Because you searched for recipes the first time around. That's all it knows. It's a bias built so that you stay locked in your own internal world, meaning you are constantly only reinforcing yourself, your own personality, your own biases, and you are kind of thinking you're alone in your world. And you kind of tend to become the king or queen of your own world, ignoring the rest of the world. So you become super judgmental about everybody else or everything else because you're locked out of it. You decided to lock yourself out of it, and the platform is sort of encouraging you for it. You locked yourself out of every other point of view that is possible. And now you think that my view is the only view that is possible. And everybody who agrees with me is my friend, and everybody who disagrees with me is my enemy. This is the kind of situation it is creating, this kind of bias. What it keeps showing you only what you research, right? So the only way to break out of this is research on many topics. All kinds of topics that are not at all of any interest to you. Suddenly, let's say you are an artist or a painter, and then you research about economics and Wall Street and finance. That's very far from your purview. That's very far from your interest. But when you research on the platform, on the social media, make sure you research all kind of unrelated topics. This is the way to break that bubble, so that internet platforms are kind of confused. What is it that you really like? Do you like this one or do you like that one? It keeps on suggesting you all kinds of things based on your interest. On my YouTube channel here somewhere I have put how to Google good news, right? So how to set your settings so that you research all kinds of topics. Now it is confused. Now it doesn't know what to supply you with, or it supplies you with all kinds of stuff. Okay? So the way to break the bias, which is inbuilt in the code written in the platforms, is for you to take conscious action in researching all kind of unrelated topics. It might not be your interest, remember. If it's not your interest, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. There are all kinds of people and all kinds of ideas that has taken to make this world. It's not just what you think sitting inside your head. Okay? So if you want to be really knowledgeable and, so to speak, open-minded, you got to get there and you got to break this bubble which keeps on feeding you stuff which only you research. Now, if you research many things, it'll provide you with many things. That's the way to go about it. Number 2 on our list, ignoring the stupid dislikes. You and I know very well, whoever is listening to this, that world is full of stupid people. There are tons of stupid people. There is no shortage of stupidity in this world. Now, what do I mean by stupid people? Well, people who don't think, people who don't pause, people who just bark without biting on the subject, right? They just want to say whatever the first thing that comes to their mind. They will come to your video, they will deliberately see the whole thing and press a dislike button. So, as a creator, as somebody who's passionate, as somebody who wants to give out the good stuff, inspirational stuff, motivational stuff, and all the good things that we all crave for as human beings, something that is a common denominator to all of us, they are ignoring all of that and they are just discouraging you. There are people who are constantly discouraging you in your life. Have you noticed? Most of them will be even in your family, if you noticed. So you need to start ignoring those stupid kind of dislikes. This can be even in your real world. Why just social platforms? So ignore that. You've got to learn to ignore, develop a kind of a thick skin to ignore all these stupid people. They have not given enough thought or enough credence to their own intelligence. They are all endowed with intelligence, but they're not using it. It's like having the best stuff in your house and you're not even having any gratitude or any acknowledgement of it, let alone use it properly, right? So you need to start ignoring the dislikes. That's number 2. Number 3. Creating by force of passion. Now, this is specifically for the creators, this video, right? So, creating by force of passion is the engine, the fuel that you need in your life in order for you to bring forth that which is in you, that which fires you up, that which sends your blood pumping, that which fires your mind, that which fires your emotional bodies. That's what you need to create something in this world. So you need to start understanding this third point very well, because this is the crux of the whole thing. If you're not having passion to create something, chill out. Just absorb whatever is going on. Something or the other in our environment as human beings will always propel us, trigger us to create something in one or the other direction. That's how we have built this whole civilization. That's how we have done all the scientific great discoveries. That's how we make art. That's how we make music. That's how we do n number of things, right? So you need to be focused on creating by the force of your passion. When you're in those days where you're not kind of feeling passionate, you're kind of feeling dead inside, or you say, let the whole world go to dogs. I'm just going to sit here and just eat a nice piece of ice cream or a steak or something like that. That's good too. There is no judgment by anything or anyone. Somebody else will come along and create something else. The creators need to know that the creative energy is universal. It is not and will never belong to one single human being. There'll be somebody else who will come along and create something which you are not, if you don't feel like it. But if you have the force of passion and if you want to go forth and create, you will be the one creating that. What is the enjoyment in this for you? That's what you got to see. You are focusing on your enjoyment rather than what stuff you're bringing to the external world. You see? And you're doing it only because you are enjoying the process. Creativity is a process of enjoyment. You are enjoying while you are creating. I am enjoying doing this while I am talking, right? It's that kind of a thing. Yeah, remember that. Next, number 4, expression from mind and heart. Now, this is important to understand as creators. Typically, we think from only one side or the other. We think from intellect side or we think from the heart side. You have, as a creative person, a responsibility to yourself and to others to blend both of these. You have to intellectually think, reason out, logic, analyze, and then you have to also come down to feelings, emotions of all range of human emotions, really speaking. It may be from anger to frustration to joy to happiness to everything. We have got all this range of emotions for a reason, folks. There is no emotion which is wrong in and of itself. There is nothing like it. And so you need to understand that your expression, whatever you are expressing on social media, let it come from the collective of your mind and of your heart. Because those are the only two things you have to express, your mind and your heart. So use both of these as a means of action. If you are unsure of what I mean here, you can see my previous video on how the three primary drivers work in us. So use the primary drivers of mind as well as heart before you act on anything. That's number 4. Last one, I call it finding the common ground. We are all here as one collective humanity. Doesn't matter which race, culture, religion, or whatever it is that you belong to or call yourself, you are belonging to something. Some country, some race, some religion, some gender, something. Your sense of belonging is personal to you. Obviously, it's personal to me, it's personal to everybody. What do I mean by finding the common ground here then? Well, finding the common ground is what sustains us, what sustains the earth, what sustains the next human being next to me. It might be just listening, it might be just contribution to them in the form of listening or talking something or suggesting something or even bringing some piece of knowledge or your experience or anything really that serves the other person good. And it may not be a universal kind of thing in all situations. There is no universal situation as such. It doesn't exist. Finding the common ground always comes down to what is your current situation, what is the context in which you are talking. We as a collective need to find more and more ways to come to common ground as individuals, as team members, as companies, as corporations, as governments, as countries. We need to come together to find a common ground which works for both people, both parties involved. In the current context, always be current with the situation. Don't get lost in your own biases. Don't get lost thinking, I know this and this to be true. No, you don't. You're just one face in a crowd of billions. Remember that always. So we are trying to find a common ground in which any particular interaction in any context, in any situation works like a win-win situation. That is the common ground we need to find at every single level, moving from you as an individual right down to the 8 billion people of the planet. Okay? So just wanted to leave you with these 5 points. Take care. Be safe.